Hello, boys and girls. Lately in reading, we have been talking about different types of questions. We spent today talking about questions within the book, where the answers are right there, and you can look through the pages and look at the words and find the answers right there. Those are within questions. And then we talked about questions beyond the book. Those are the ones where you look at the pictures, read the words, but then you have to think about them and make a decision in order to answer it. The answer is not right in there, but there are clues to help you answer it, to make a good guess. You don't make a random guess. Your guess is based on what you see in the book, okay? And then we've got questions about the text. That's more about how the book is built or made, things the author or the illustrator did and why they did them, all right? So I'm going to read you this book today, Dinner at Mrs. Bloom's House. And then I have questions that fit in each category, and I want you to try to answer each type of question, okay? So really think about it. I might give you a few little clues to help guide you in the right direction. So here we go. Let's read it first. Dinner at Mrs. Bloom's house. Mrs. Bloom saw a mouse in her house. She put cheese inside a trap. The mouse ate the cheese, and Mrs. Bloom carried him to the woods. The mouse saw a squirrel. A kind lady gave me cheese, the mouse said, and she carried me home. Mrs. Bloom saw a squirrel in her house. She put nuts inside a trap. The squirrel ate the nuts. Mrs. Bloom carried him to the woods. The squirrel saw a bear. A kind lady gave me nuts, the squirrel said, and she carried me home. Mrs. Bloom saw a bear in her house. She ran away. The bear walked back to the woods and saw the mouse and the squirrel. That lady is so kind, the bear said. She left me dinner. The mouse said, let's do something kind for her. Now let's go back really quick and think about it. The bear said she left him dinner. Do you see? Think about that. Mrs. Bloom saw a basket on her table. The animals were very happy, but Mrs. Bloom was not happy at all. Look what it says, thank you. And it's got some nuts and some worms and a fish. All right, so let's think about some questions within the book, right? Where we could find the answers right in the book. How did Mrs. Bloom get the animals out of her house? Well, let's go back and look, because the answers are right in here. So I'm just going to show you the pages, but I'm not going to say anything. Here's the squirrel. Nope, this is the mouse. See? This is the squirrel. Oh, he's not in the house yet. Here's the squirrel in the house. Look what she's doing. See how the answer's right in the book? Nope. He's out of the house. Here's the bear. What'd she do? Okay, that answers were right in the book. We could go back and find them. Okay, now let's answer beyond. How did the animals feel? How was that different from Mrs. Bloom's feelings? Now, nowhere in the book does it come right out and say the animals felt like this. But there are clues, right? Clues we can look at are their faces to see how they're feeling. So let's flip back through the pages and look at the faces of the animals and the faces of Mrs. Bloom. And let's also look at their actions. That means the things that they do. Okay, so when you look at people's faces and the things that they do, That's how you can decide how they feel. Okay, so let's pay attention to that as we look back through this. Okay. Look at how the lady, Mrs. Bloom, feels right now, and look at how the mouse feels right now. Look at how Mrs. Bloom feels right now. Look at how the mouse feels right now. Look at how Mrs. Bloom feels right now. Look at how the squirrel feels. Mrs. Bloom, the squirrel, Mrs. Bloom, the bear, no Mrs. Bloom, Mrs. Bloom. And there is a clue right here where it does kind of talk about how they feel, right? Okay. So beyond, there were clues. There was a spot where it kind of even described right at the end, which is almost a within. Let's talk about. Now this question, you have to think about it like the illustrator or the writer. That means you think about it like the person who drew the pictures or the person who wrote the book, or maybe how they worked together to build and create the book. Okay, here's the question. How did the pictures help you understand the book? Well, when you were reading the words, if you did not have the pictures, there are some things that might have been confusing. Like here at the end. If you did not see a picture, but you read the words, Mrs. Bloom saw a basket on her table. The animals were very happy, but Mrs. Bloom was not happy at all. Now, if there was no picture, would you know why Mrs. Bloom was not happy? Probably not. So you have to tell me, how does the picture help you understand the story? And that's just one example. Let's find another one. When it says that the lady left her dinner, if there were no pictures, would you know? If there were no pictures, would you know? Think about how the pictures help you understand, okay? How do they go together? All right, so I'm going to put these questions on Seesaw, and I would like for you to type up a real quick response for each of them in Seesaw, all right?